Yo, what's good?
Good afternoon.
Hi, everyone. Sorry if anyone said anything, I was not listening because I have my earphones. But getting myself set up. Welcome, everyone. If you haven't yet, please make a copy of our slides. They are on Google Classroom. Welcome. So, also, let me make sure I'm projecting this for my in-class stuff. Hmm. Project. Let's see. Is it projecting? No. 107, right? I'm like, what is happening? It's not connecting. I mean, it's not projecting. I mean, that's true. You can see it. Okay. Mirror built-in display. Wi-Fi network is Envision. Yeah. Oh well. For some reason, it's not up. So that's okay. You can see the screen anyway, right? All right, everyone. I'll be starting to take attendance in just one moment. I can like not hear anything. Are you able to hear me? Like this? Full screen. Okay, welcome. I like that profile pic. I don't know whose that is. It's cute, but awesome. We're gonna go ahead and get us started, everyone, to today's stuff. So welcome. It is April 28th. We're here on a Wednesday. My question for you is, what movie or show were you afraid of as a kid? Think about this. And let's see what we have. We have Chucky, Saw. Wait, what's that one? I'm gonna put mine. We got Chucky and Saw. Dang, you watched Saw as a kid? That is so scary. I would have nightmares. Dude, I was really scared of the Charlie and the Chocolate Factory movie. I literally had thought all those children were dying. I don't know. And we got nothing because I'm built different. Okay. Let me start to take attendance as y'all are putting these things. So as a kid,
I'm gonna be real with you. Disaster movie gave me nightmares
I
because
actually never.
it had me looking at Alvin and the Chipmunks differently.
Oh my gosh, I haven't ever seen that movie. I'm scared now. Disaster movie. That sounds scary. Which it has
The
chickmunks
thing
in it.
is, no, it's not even scary. Like now that I look back on it, it's
Mm-hmm.
one of them parodies of hecka stuff, and then they make it like a apocalypse type thing.
Oh wow, that's scary. Kind of like, what's that movie called? It's not like Final Destination, kind of a little
Nah,
bit.
it's like because the whole movie is pretty much a parody. Like
Oh,
it's a
I don't
parody of
know.
what would happen if it was a apocalypse, and then they just put in hecka characters from all over the place.
That sounds
It's
actually,
really it's really funny now that I look back at it, but it traumatized me as a kid.
yeah. I want to see it now. I need to print out this list so that I don't forget. We got basically, and we have The Grudge. Oh my gosh, watching The Grudge as a kid. Basically, any horror movie freaked you out as a child. Yeah. Ghost Rider, never seen it. It's probably not sure. The Fox Channel 2 news. Hey, I could actually sympathize with that. I think if I was a kid and saw this stuff on the news, it would probably scare me too. We have any horror movie. You're about to say Final Destination. Okay. That kind of like weirded me out, but I didn't see it as a kid. Oh, it. Oh my gosh. Good thing you brought it up. Yeah, that freaked a lot of my little cousins out. That was a good one. Or I don't know if you mean like the modern it. There was like a newer version. Cujo, haven't seen that. I know I haven't seen a lot of movies. Oh, Alvin and the Chipmunks were terrifying in that movie. What? Okay, I need to see that one movie then. That was mentioned. I couldn't watch Coraline. Dang, you watched it when you were 5. I haven't watched Pinocchio, but this thing where the old man was making him a fairyland exhibit scared me so bad. No, I don't think I've seen that. Makes me want to see it though. Now we have, yeah, the old one. Okay, everyone. So based on the check-in, I was just going down right now, reading through it and also marking attendance. If you're here, if you could let us know. Okay, we got another Chucky. But this is who I'm missing. I'm missing Tyrell. I'm missing Alexander. I am missing Ruben, Carlos, Kyla, Zion. Unless did I see Zion in the chat? Risha, you
Zion's
just
here.
Zion's here. My bad, my friend. And Risha just came in. I see you. Leon, Sincere, and Celia. So that is who I am missing. And again, I was basing this off the check-in questions. I was just looking down this list here. All right. Oh, we got Ruben here. So Scream. Oh, the real Screams? Yeah. I think I had to watch those with my siblings when I was small too. I don't like it. I mean, it's also not like if I look back, I wouldn't watch those again either because they were not even entertaining. Just people running and somebody chasing you. So this is who I'm missing, everyone. I am missing Jirel. I'm missing Carlos. I'm missing Kyla. I'm missing Leon, Sincere, and Celia. So that is my overall list. And we have another Caroline there in the chat. Oh, we have Sleeping Beauty Queen gave me nightmares. I don't know what that one is. These are also great suggestions. Maybe have like a nice movie night whenever it rains again. Oh, Sleeping Beauty? Just a straight up Sleeping Beauty? Interesting. Maleficent, said Danny. All right, y'all. Thank you so much for sharing. That gets me kind of excited to look into movies, to watch some. But let's go ahead and get started with today and what we're doing. So here's our agenda. I just took attendance. We're gonna kind of wrap up what we were talking about yesterday, and actually get to a Google form where you get to try it out and I get to see where you're at as far as your understanding is. Then we'll take a look and open up our big ideas packet because it is posted now. We just want to open it and just dig in there already. So we're going to do a whole class annotation. It's going to be for credit. You add a comment, you get your credit. Hopefully kind of open up the mini final and kind of look through it. At least opening it up is getting started. So that hopefully we get to, and then we'll have a checkout and the mini final. I just went ahead and just switched the due date to Thursday so that we just had time to talk about it and everything. So let me know, Thursday midnight. Let me know if anyone has any questions so far about what I've said or anything on this agenda. Let me know. I'll give you all a moment. Okay, I don't see anything popping in for us, so let's go ahead and get started with today's stuff. So let's take our minds back to yesterday near the end of class. Yesterday near the end of class, we talked about how equations can model waves, so actual equations, and there's actually certain definitions you should know before you actually are able to model waves. One of them is, what is a period? That's the length of one cycle. How we've been learning how to measure the period is you count the distance from one peak to another peak, as you can see visually both here and here. Amplitude. We talked a little bit about how to find amplitude, and we made connections to the windmill problem yesterday. The amplitude is when you count the distance from the midline to a peak. Midline being that horizontal line that cuts in the middle of your wave. Midline is also defined down here. You also have something called a phase shift that kind of tells us whether or not your wave shifted side to side. Vertical shift tells us up and down movement. So just a little recap with a little visual of our definitions. This is on in your big ideas packet. So you have this. And yesterday we started talking about how to create the equation for this problem. Right after I finished this, because we were almost done, I know at the end of class I felt a little rushed because I was talking about it, but after this, we're gonna have a Google form where you try. So you're gonna try, it's gonna give me information to see where we're at, and then we'll go on from there. And then continue on today's stuff. So yesterday, I popped open the things we need, which is the parent function for my sine graph, just so I could compare this new function with the parent function. And I also popped up the formulas. I also showed you the formulas yesterday that we'll be needing to create equations. So those were the main things. So yesterday, and feel free if you want to in the chat, or you can unmute. You can ask if you want me to re-explain how I got, for example, how do we get an amplitude of 1? We talked a little bit about that yesterday. And yesterday, we talked how we found my B term here in blue. We had to use this blue period formula. And after we determined that the period was 2 pi, you plug in the 2 pi in for P in the formula. And after you do so, you have to cross multiply to solve for the B term. And we got our answer that B was 1. This was from yesterday. And those are the little steps there. Let me know if anyone needs me to kind of like re-explain. And then there's a question popping up in the chat. How do you get the phase shift again? Yeah, so phase shift, yeah, perfect. I'm gonna talk about phase shift right now because I feel like that's kind of like where we're ended up at yesterday. So we'll talk about that. So phase shift, that's there in orange. So phase shift is usually represented by that C term right here. And phase shift basically tells you whether or not the function shifted from its original position. And you see that, or you check whether or not that happened if you compare it to the parent function graph. So this is parent function. And phase shift is side to side shift. So take a look here. So my sine function starts kind of in its midline and then it goes up. And this starts at 0, 0. Let's go ahead and look at where this new shifted sine graph starts. Now, when I say shifted, it could mean a vertical or it could be a horizontal shift. Let's figure it out. So this one is the sine graph starts at its midline right here and then goes up. And its new starting point is going to be 0, comma 1. So to check whether or not you have a phase shift is you check if your x values had changed.
Can I get a water?
Oh, hello. Yeah, for sure. All right, was somebody asking for my attention? I see somebody talking. I bet, let me just. Okay, I think it's good. Okay, and I see Danny, you put 0, comma 1. Let me mute all. I think that was Raybon's class. Okay, so anyhow, so how you check whether or not you have a phase shift is you compare it to your parent function and you're looking at your x value. If the x value has changed, that tells you whether or not you have a horizontal shift. That's called phase shift. So let me also write that here. So horizontal shift is basically a phase shift. Think of that as side to side. So because the x value actually did not change, this is telling me I do not have a phase shift. What that means is because I don't have a phase shift, the sine function did not shift horizontally. We just say that c is 0. Notice how I don't need to necessarily use this this equation to solve for c. I could just look and be like, I don't have a phase shift, so I don't have to go through the whole process like I did here. You could, but you're just going to get the same answer that c is 0. For the moment, ignore this part. All right.
To revise?
Okay, everyone. So now let's go ahead and talk about how we get that the D term, maybe you're already seeing right here, but the D term, how do we get this last thing? That one here is called vertical shift. What vertical shift is actually up and down. So up and down movement. So how we could actually determine if it has a vertical shift is you check its starting point again, just like we did with phase shift. But this time we're looking at the Y. Did the Y change? So in the parent function, my y started at 0. In this new function, my y started at 1. Therefore, this function got shifted up by 1 unit. So there is a vertical shift by 1 unit. That means my d right here is going to be 1. So that's right here. So I have my a, I have my b, I have my c is 0, my d is 1. Notice how I just went ahead and plugged in all those known stuff into this color-coded function. When you subtract 0, everyone, you don't really necessarily need to write that. So here's a simplified form. But these two things mean the same thing. So I wouldn't mark you wrong if you wrote it like this. Basically, when you have 1 times anything, we don't usually write that. And we usually also don't write the 1 in front of the x. That's why it went away. So let's see. Are there any questions? Let's pause here. So this was the example on how to create a function from a picture, like a wave, a model. Let's pause for questions. And if there aren't any, we'll jump into that Google form so that you all can try it. Oh, thank you. I was muted. Thank you, thank you. So what had happened is that someone in the direct message said there's a little bit of confusion on how we got C equals 0. So let's go ahead and talk about that before we jump into that Google form. So, whoops. Hey, if you're ready, by the way, and you're on the slides, you could totally go to slide 6, by the way, if you want to already get a head start on the form. So phase shift. Phase shift is another way to think of is side-to-side movement. And what I mean by that is basically like did the parent function shift from side to side? Like did the initial position shift? Or is the initial position the same? And phase shift is only about side to side. That means the x, like your x value. You're looking for that side to side movement. So sine functions always start at their midline in the middle, and then they go up. Notice how this one starts right in the middle as well, and then it also goes up. Sine function starts at 0, 0. The parent function starts here. This is my parent. This new shifted function starts at 0, 1. In order to determine if we have a phase shift, is you check whether or not the x value changed. Of course, the y value did change, right? The y value is 1. That did change. The y value it has changed. But if we look at the x value right here, the x value is still 0. That tells me that there is no side shift. There is no phase shift. So from there, we could get that C is equal to 0. So that's my little re-explanation for why the parent function did not shift horizontally. It did shift vertically though. It shifted up by 1 unit upward, but that is captured by your D term. That's why there's a +1. That's why your D was 1. That's a very, very good question. Oh, and says, but what would you do if it's not 0? That is great. Yay, you're thinking about what happens if you do have a phase shift, because you actually might. There is an example in your big ideas packet where you do have a phase shift, and there's like a little walkthrough of the answer. But if you have a phase shift to that question, you're going to kind of do a similar process that we did for the B term right here, except you would do it with this orange phase shift equation. You would find what the phase shift is. Like, okay, it shifted half a unit. You'd put 1/2 equals, and you're going to put it equal to C over B. You would then plug in what your B term is and then solve for C by cross multiplication. That is if you have a phase shift. And in the Google form problem, you will not have a phase shift. So there's a little tip. So Google form won't have a phase shift, but that's good to know. Like, what do you do if you do have a phase shift? You would use the formula. So that's a good question. Wow, too much info, but okay. Yeah, don't worry. So on the Google form, you won't have a phase shift, but let's go ahead and see, like, you know, what we could do with the information that we have. And you could even look back at this slide to help support you. No verticals, right, either. So actually look at this example, Daniel. We do have a vertical shift. This got shifted up by 1. So you might have some vertical shifting in your Google form. So vertical shift, I'm not going to say is out the picture. Any other questions coming up for us?
But the form only has like one thing. So
The form only has like one question. Is that what you're saying?
yeah. So how can we like compare the shifts?
How can you compare the shifts? Are you talking about like when you have to look back at the parent function?
Yeah.
Yeah, you just have your slide open and you just look back at the parent function picture right here. Yeah, you could have your slide open and just compare. Oh, another question. Frequency isn't included, right? That's a good question. So frequency is not going to be included here. It will show up in your mini final though. So we're noticing this interesting frequency formula showing up here, right? This will come up in our mini final, but no, it will not come up in the Google form.
Can you explain to us how to find frequency if you can?
Yeah, so we're gonna actually hit frequency after this. So once we hit the mini final, we will definitely. But if you want to give me a little short thing, what you simply do for Zion's question is you would just do 1 divided by whatever your period is. So for example, here your period is 2 pi, right? You would just do 1 divided by 2 pi and you get your frequency. That's it. That's how you would do frequency if you're interested. And it's going to come up in our mini final, but it's not going to come up in the Google form. Wow, so many great questions. I hope I answered that, Zion, at least as a brief kind of overview.
Oh, you did. Thank you. And I was gonna ask you. Okay, so since frequency will be in our mini final, where do we include that? Where do we include that within our with? Oh my God. Please. Okay, where do we include that within our equation?
Oh, like where is frequency found within your equation? It's actually not found within it. You're actually going to be using, so why frequency is going to come up in your mini final is y'all are going to be making sound, like sound waves. And in order to kind of recreate your sound waves, you're going to have to know the frequency of it. And so that's where that comes in, and it is not actually represented by your equation.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. This was awesome, y'all. Thank you for your question. So much investment. Great. So let's go ahead and let me clear this up unless there's any other burning questions. And just try your best, everyone. This Google form is based on participation. It's not based on like you getting it right or wrong. Let me show you what it looks like and let me take us to there. Maybe some of you already got started, but we're gonna have an 8 minutes. And near the last minute, I'm just gonna ask you to go ahead and submit what you have so that we can get our credit, even if you're not done. So you're gonna start having your email address and notice how here you're gonna have to type out your answer. So of course you definitely wanna perhaps have a piece of paper or something for like any work that you might need to do. But try your best to kind of type out what you did for me here. Just type out what you did so that we as a class can understand and take a look at that. So yeah, here's the graph. You only have one problem, so try this out. Does anyone have any questions before we get started on creating the equation for this sine function? Again, my recommendation is go back to our example. Use this as a model to help you out.
Will the Google form be in Google? Oh my God! Will the form be in Google Classroom?
Will the form be, well, it kind of is. If you go to today's slides and you go
Okay.
to slide number 6, it is there, yes. And
All right.
today is day 9.
Thank you.
Yes. And then Danny said, so we're using the yellow one, the yellow original one. Yeah. So when you're asking about that, yeah. So also Danny, in yesterday's slides, I introduced the parent function, sine and cosine, and on there, these are your parent ones. So yes, this is the parent for sine. That's correct. So the yellow one, yes. And someone asked if I could put this in the chat. And another person had asked, or sorry, I didn't check if it was private. Like, is this graded on accuracy, on correctness? No, 100% no. This one is not graded on whether or not you're 100% there. This is going to be graded on participation. Again, this is more so I could see where everyone's at, and you could also see what further questions are coming up for you. And yeah, Danny, your parent functions never change. That's right. Sine and cosine parent functions will be the same always. So I put the form in the chat, and this is graded on participation. And yes, y'all, this has the same amount of credit as an async assignment. So yes, let's do it. Yeah, the formulas, if anyone's asking about formulas, they're right here on slide 5. Here are the formulas. These were the formulas that we're using. I specifically used it mostly for B though, if you look back at the examples. Yeah. Yeah, just one question. Yep, only one, y'all. Let's go ahead and get started. Give it your best. As I said, once 1 minute comes near, like at 7 minutes around the timer, I'll let you know. Just go ahead and submit what you have so that we can all get our credit, whether or not you're done. I just want to see where your thinking is at. All right, y'all. Okay, we already have a few done. So I'm gonna start our 8 minutes. Hey, if you're done. Um, that's awesome. You get to chill for the next 8 minutes. Let me go ahead and present this. Let me get us started, and I'll answer any private messages in the chat. So feel free to ask me anything. I'll go ahead and check those out.
Miss Sedano? The link doesn't show up on the chat for me like at all. Can you email?
Oh,
Because like it's not showing up.
yes, of course. Also, are you able to go to Google Classroom and open up the slide? It's on slide. No? We're not able to?
Yeah, no, I'm having a hard time.
Okay, no problem. Let me go ahead and email that to you. Thank you so much for letting me know. Okay, everyone. So that was our timer. So let's go ahead and pause where you're at. I know, and I see some questions here in my direct chat. Sorry, I wasn't also in the class here, but let's go ahead and submit what you have. What if you didn't type anything at all? You could also just put what you were thinking about, like during these 8 minutes if you were stuck. You could also put that too. Anything here for your credit. Let's just get that in. And let's talk about the solution. So please, please, please submit this. This is worth credit, y'all. I'll follow up if I'm missing yours, but definitely submit it. I want to see where everyone's at, what questions are coming up, and what we've tried. You ready for the solution? Let's do it. Oh, let's get this out. Let's see the solution. Ta-ta-ta. So this was what you had, right? Let's start with finding my A. Oh wait, where's my formulas? Yeah, so like Daddy said, like it's always good to kind of have your parent function right there so you could compare it to this new function. Look how different it looks from the parent. I mean, some stuff had changed it. Cool. I also have up here my formulas. So always have your like resources kind of out by you so you could compare. Great. Let's first find what the amplitude should have been here, everyone. Step 1, to find amplitude, draw the midline. Y'all see that midline that just appeared? The midline cuts directly in the middle between the maximums and the minimums of my graphs, right in the middle. Step 2, to get the amplitude after you draw the midline is you count the distance from the midline to a peak. So this thing, it's very small. Super, super small. So as you can see, I put that the amplitude is 0.5. So why is that the case? So the distance from here to here, it's in green, I'm trying to color that, is gonna be 0.5 because notice that my peak right here, it's at around, I think this is negative 4.5. So the distance from negative 4.5 to negative 5, that is 0.5, y'all. So I wonder if that was a little tricky because there's a half. It's half of an integer. Or you could have said 1/2, and that's okay. That is your amplitude, everyone. Ooh. Okay, so Brenda went ahead and put in a technique. So perhaps, let's say you don't like this strategy, look at this. The peak and the lowest, so take a maximum and a minimum, peak and the lowest, and when you divide it, it hits 0.5. So there is another strategy there in the chat, but yes, our amplitude is 0.5 here, y'all. And you have to be careful because you have to see your scaling, like check your y-axis, make sure your scaling is on point. Okay, next, B. So B was the one that kind of involved the most steps last time. Let's see how we do this. So for B, we have to first figure out that in this case, y'all, for this function, the period was 4 pi. Now, how in the world does the period 4 pi? Let's talk about how to find period once again. So period is when you count the distance from peak to peak. So how did I get that the period was 4 pi first off? So let's count the boxes between this peak and this peak. And then after I count the boxes, I'm going to go to the x-axis, use it as a ruler and figure out that ultimately it's going to be 4 pi, but let's see. For sure. We got 1 box, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I counted 8 boxes unless I messed up. So then we're going to go up to the x-axis. And why do we do that? The reason is because we don't know what 8 boxes represents in length. We go onto the x-axis as a ruler so that we know what they represent. So we're going to count again 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Notice how it hits 4 pi. That is my period here. Now, a common misconception is that people think, okay, my period is 4 pi. They're going to put that in for B. That's not what we do. You actually have to take this 4 pi and use the formula to figure out what B is. That's when we got to do our like little cross multiplication. And then Danny said, I said 3 pi minus pi to get 4 pi. So there's a strategy that Danny put in the chat if it helps y'all. So, so this is me using this period formula. Notice how I just replaced my p, my period, with 4 pi, because that's what we got as the length of the period. Now we're going to repeat the steps to solve for b. We're going to put 4 pi over 1. Once we put 4 pi over 1, we're going to cross multiply, just like we did before, to solve for b. When you cross multiply, you should get 4 pi b is equal to 2 pi, because 1 times 2 pi is simply 2 pi. 4 pi times b is just 4 pi b. What do I do next? Does anyone remember my next thing here? To solve for b, how do I get b by itself?
Divide 4 pi on, oh my god, divide 4 pi on both sides.
That's right, yes. Thank you, Zion. Divide 4 pi, both sides, exactly. When you do that, that goes away. Now we just got to figure out what in the world this is. Well, let's cancel out the fact that pi divided by pi is 1, so that goes away. Then we have 2 divided by 4. What's 2 divided by 4? Let's see what's in the chat. Divide, you get b by itself. Pi cancels and you get 0.5 is what I see there in the chat. And y'all see that? Yes, it's a public comment by Brenda. Yes, so you could say b is 2 over 4, but 2 over 4, everyone, if you divide that, is 0.5. So b is 0.5, everyone. It's a coincidence, by the way, that a and b is 0.5 in this case. It's not always going to be that they match up, by the way. Oh, and then you went extra steps, but you still kind of got the same answer, so that's great. Now for this one, y'all.
Wait, hold on.
Oh,
No,
yeah.
no.
Go
I
ahead.
mean to cut you off, my bad. I'm still confused on how you got 4 pi. I've been confused on period this whole time. Not gonna lie to you.
Okay, that's actually really, I like that you're really authentic about that. So usually when we count or measure period, I mean, do you get the part where we're measuring the distance between 2 peaks on a wave? Is that part pretty okay?
Yes.
And then when I measured the distance between these 2 peaks, I counted 8 boxes. Was that part okay?
Okay, I'm getting it a little bit.
But then the fact is, I don't know what I said 8 boxes, right? I don't know what 8 boxes means. Like, what is that length? I can't just say my period is 8 boxes. I have to go up to my x-axis and use the x-axis as a ruler. And when I do that, I'm going to just go ahead and count my 8 boxes once more to figure out where that ends up.
Oh, I get it. I understand.
Yay, that's awesome. Maybe someone else had that question. So that's how we got our 4 pi for period. Thank you so much for asking it. So yeah. Okay, everyone. So now let's talk about this tricky phase shift. I know a lot of you had some questions about it. It might turn out that we don't have to use this orange formula. So let's see. So in order to figure out phase shift again, y'all, this is when I usually like to compare the parent function. So again, remember this starts at 0, 0. This one, however, starts at, my bar is in the way, I can't really see well. This one starts at 0, -5. So notice how the x did not change. The x is still 0. So x, y. The y, however, did change. The y went from 0 to -5. The x did not, though. When the x does not change, y'all, that means we do not have a phase shift. So we can say that C is 0. There is no side-to-side shift. Once again, like our prior example, the C is 0 here. So no side-to-side shift. However, there is a downward shift because the parent function went from 0 as the starting y point to now -5 as the starting y point. So there is a downward shift. There is a vertical shift. And then using the minima, that's okay. So then my D is simply whatever that y downward shift was. So it's going to just be -5, everyone. So that was my new y starting point. That is my vertical shift. There's my A, B, C, D. Putting it all together looks like something like this. And I saw in the chat, someone had something very close. Simplified, right? This is the simplified version. Here would be your answer, but this is equivalent. So great questions were coming up as I was doing this, but let's go ahead. Maybe some questions are coming up for you as you're seeing now the solution. Please make sure you enter in your Google form. It's based on participation and it will get you some credit today. So I'm just going to pause for questions, and if there's not any, we can move on. And I know on your paper you had to copy it down, right? Because I didn't print out the steps, but yeah. Awesome. Okay, everyone, let's go ahead and transition to the next part. And I am super aware that we have like 5-ish minutes. Let me go ahead and clear this up. So yeah, we were supposed to get to kind of opening and taking a look at the mini final if you haven't yet, but we might not have time to do that. So you definitely want to look at that. But let's go ahead and jump into our checkout. So our checkout is going to be, this is the last 5 minutes, everyone. Whole class annotation is the last part of our credit. So leave one comment as a question or rephrasing of your understanding. You can comment or answer another student's comment. You can comment more than once if you so desire. Let's do this as our checkout, and this is our last piece of credit today. Let me go ahead and grab this. I'm going to stick it in the chat. I hope everyone can access it. If you all have issues accessing it, please let me know and I'll accommodate. But if you open this up with me, everyone, this is the Holy Grail Big Ideas packet. This is where all the stuff we kind of did is on. So you would use this to kind of go back and remember some stuff we did. This will help support you also in the mini final. So once you open it up, I mean, feel free if you're interested in a big idea, just click on it. It's going to take you there and you can leave a comment. You're going to notice that some other past modules have already dropped their comments in here. You can feel free to, like for example, here's a past comment by Jaleel. If there's a comment that resonates with you, maybe someone already asked a question that you kind of want to ask the same thing of, you could just comment like, hey, I have the same question. Or if you know how to answer one of their comments, feel free to go ahead and answer. Does anyone have any questions about what we're doing right now in our checkout? Oh, we need access. My bad. Okay, friends, sorry about that. Just seen that. Oh, wow, that's why I can view. We're gonna go to can edit. Here is our new fresh link, everyone. Sorry. And if you're on the page already, once I click on the new link, I think you just need to refresh and you'll be able to comment. So there you go. I sent the new link, everyone. And Tori asked a good question. Does it matter which section we comment at? Not at all. So comment anywhere that you'd like to comment a question. This is more so as an opportunity for you to kind of just finally take a look at the big ideas, skim through, know your resource that's going to help you support for our, mini final that's coming up for us. Again, you can look at everyone else's kind of questions, comments. And we now have 3 minutes. I do see I see 11 folks on here. So I see Risha, I see Yaisa, I see Gerardo, I see Danny, I see Miles, I see Sam, Alexander, Brenda, AJ, I see Jasmine, I see Rebecca. So please be on here. Let's get our full credit, y'all. Let's make a comment. And we'll be prepared to jump into that mini final. Yay, I see also CJ on here. There's more folks on here actually now. I see Brandon, Yaisa, awesome. Good, I see some comments coming in, everyone. Good, good. I see second comments coming out. It's popping up for me here. Awesome. I see AJ, I see Miles commented. I see, I know Jasmine earlier commented. I see Alexander just made a change. Awesome. Only lets you type in the boxes. Oh, okay. So just in case I don't know how to comment, how you comment is you, let's say you highlight something and this should pop up. If this don't pop up, you highlight and then you click on comment box and you could add a comment like that. So that's how you could comment. If it's not letting you comment, maybe you could just add your 2 cents down below it and just maybe color it in a different color as well. So for those who are struggling with that. Good, I see Gerardo, I see Sam, Yaisa. So if you could look here, I could see the comments on the sidebar. Awesome, y'all, you're engaging with the big ideas packet. Amazing. Oh yeah, it is 1:55. Get your last comment in for your credit here today. Do not forget. I'm gonna let you all go since it's time. And yes, that's it. Yeah, we're just doing this as our exit ticket, everyone. Woohoo. Okay, I'll see you all tomorrow. Let's dig into that mini final tomorrow. Bye, everyone.
All right, see you later.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye. Bye, y'all. Yeah, have a beautiful day, Risha. Thank you. And then, oh, I see you, Kyla. Let me also update the attendance. I'm glad you came. Let me go ahead and fix this now. So Kyla's here. There we go. All right. Bye, everyone in here. Have a great day. Bye, Denise. Thank you for commenting.